And welcome everybody to the Daily Space Weather. I'm your host Dan, aka smAsho. Today we'll be talking about the 10.7 centimeter radial flux, a coronal mass election, and large sunspots incoming, sunspot 2781. Now yesterday we talked about 2780, which fell nearly as quickly as it rose. You can see here at the beginning of the video, you see some umbrae, and by the end of the video, they be gone. But if you look down at the southeast, and we noted that this looked like more activity, you see a series of large sunspots. And I think we've already seen some flaring out of those. We'll see momentarily when we look at the HelioViewer movies. So get a load of those. Sunspot 2781 is highly in charge and significant in size. At least 3 large umbral cores there. And by the way, I'm at spaceweather.com, who lists cosmic rays on its homepage, and I would note how they carefully word their information about cosmic ray flux, as they don't want to, destroy their own credibility. Neutron counts from the University of Oulu's Sodenkyla Geophysical Observatory show that cosmic rays reaching Earth in 2020 are near a space-age peak. See, not at a space-age peak, as they were around 2010 and 2011. Just putting it out there. Try not to destroy your credibility if you're suggesting that they're at the highest levels ever. And the 10.7 centimeter radial flux now back up to 82. So way up here now for the radial flux. And for that, we thank you. It's the highest levels we've seen since 2017. And that's a good thing, as solar minima aren't the best, most healthy thing for you. So let's get to those HelioViewer movies. And try it out yourself at helioviewer.org. Just pull down this console and make yourself some if you like. Very convenient, fantastic site. Here's Sunspot 2781 in its 304 angstroms glory. And don't be surprised if we see some M-class flares out of this. It's got all kinds of field complexity happening with it. Here's a view of the fields. And they are quite significant, as you can see. And no surprise there, as we see a leading umbra of south solar polar field polarity. Again, don't be surprised to see M-class flares. We've already seen some C-class flares out of this. Certainly right at the end of the video, there'll be a C-class flare there. As I woke up to a C-class flare this morning, it was one of the first things I looked at when I woke up this morning. There was actually flaring going on at the time. And lastly, we've included the 335 angstroms as well here. And we do get a great view of a sunspot when it rises this way. We get a better view of it this way than we do if it forms while directly facing Earth. And anyway, there's the 335 angstroms view, and let's move on to more stuff. And that stuff is to talk about the smash lights. Today we've released a pretty lengthy smash lights video. If you haven't seen it, go watch if you like. It's highly political in nature. If you can't handle it, then don't try to hang. Here's the thumbnail for it. And the title is something different about how I'm biased. Oh yeah, I'm biased. But we do go deep into the Batacave care. Thanks to our patrons, a true source of funding for the content. Please consider becoming a patron. Patreon.com/smAshomash. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, as I've been tweeting a lot lately, and I won't divulge what's being talked about there. Today's featured shirt is the Mansa shirt. So are you voting? Are you partisan? Are you nonpartisan? This shirt is nonpartisan. It's talking about personal responsibility, since making America not suck again is up to each and every one of you. So please do your part and make America not suck again. I'm not suggesting the other side is intentionally making America suck, although lots of people are making America suck. There's also a Mensa shirt. You can link to all of that stuff at smAshomash.com. Those are all in the smAsho store. And look for changes coming to the website soon. Smash staff and I are going to sit down and make big changes. This video yesterday, Smashlight, election 2020, whatever it is, Trump hints at firing Fauci, has been set to limited monetization, and we've appealed it. If it loses its appeal, the video will only be viewed on BitChute. We do typically stream live to Twitch, by the way. It's twitch.tv/smAshomash. Thanks to all of our followers over there. Don't forget to follow us on BitChute as well. Don't forget to branch out into alt tech. Head to minds.com/smAshomash/images if you want to see some of the latest and greatest. Here's Obama preaching to 4 sheep. The Liberace Crowley meme. Memes about the notorious ACB. What about the Washington Wiener Schnitzels? The Washington condiments, because ketchup and mustard are not considered racist yet. So yeah, make sure you check out the Smashlights. And let's get back to some space stuff. For all you spaced out viewers, now we're talking cosmology. Real quick, let's talk about cosmic rays. We're going to cover them. Here's the Apatity Neutron Monitor. And you see an uptick over the past week here at Apatity. Barentsburg Neutron Monitor. Uptick over the past 4 days at Barentsburg. Let's check Athens, Greece. Moving a little farther south. And there's Athens, Greece. A slight uptrend there over the past 2 weeks. Next, we'll take a look at Mexico City. Similar uptrend over the past 2 weeks at Mexico City, despite an uptick in solar activity during the same period of time. And here is Oulu and DOMC Antarctica. So Oulu is slightly downtrending over the past 30 days, a slight uptrend over the past week or two. DOMC Antarctica down over the past 30 days and up over the past 10 days. Monitor these yourself. Just look up Network of Cosmic Ray Stations. You'll find it. It's a Russian site. Don't be scared. And today's featured cosmologic object is Blazar PKS 1749 B096. Here's an image of it on Aladdin. There's that Blazar. And blazars are all about perspective, folks. Blazars are an active galactic nucleus where you're looking right down the poloidal field, right down the relativistic jet, the radio jet, whatever you'd like to call it. Here's where it's located, by the way. That's the Milky Way galaxy you see. And if you zoom in here, this is Aladdin Light. There is that blazar. And what's interesting about this one is that the poloidal jet appears to have a wobble. So this isn't very surprising. It could represent a wobble of our galaxy, our solar system, or the object itself. PKS 1749 plus 096. Here are the views of it in 2011 versus the view of it in 2014. And you're looking right down a collimated jet here. And there are 2 different types of blazars. There are full spectrum radio quasars and BL Lacertae objects, which only have a few emission lines, whereas the full spectrum radio quasars have the full range, everything from gamma down to radio frequency coming out of it. If you want to read about that one, it's located at phys.org's Astronomy and Space section. And let's talk briefly about Martian craters. How is it that 3 craters could form like this if they're caused by impacts? Don't you find that a little bit strange, folks? The fact that we see all these craters that are overlapping, and yet they don't seem to have disrupted each other in any way. I find it a little odd. Now, these particular images are created by an orbiter, which takes a tomography and then other data and putting it together. So you've got different views here. This is showing you the elevation. You can see that second crater is actually the deepest one. And check out all of these lines. See all these lines that are just emanating out of the seashell-like point of this crater? Does it look a little not like an impact? Well, all right. Let's don't get into it. Intriguing Martian scars. An ancient crater triplet. And the only reason they think it's ancient is because of those lines. They think those were caused by erosion. You can see all of these lines. They're not really parallel. They're just radiating out of this central point here. It's very, very obvious. And quite interesting. That one's on scitechdaily.com. And here ends today's cosmology segment. And let's bust through the rest of the data here, as we don't want today's video to be too long. Current solar wind density very low, below 1 proton per cubic centimeter, only at a half of proton per cubic centimeter, 0.56. Solar wind speed, quite low too, 350 kilometers a second. KP index currently at 1. And here you see this extremely low density solar wind. Low density shown on this magnetosphere movie in white, high density shown in navy blue. It only goes from 0 to 4 protons per cubic centimeter, by the way. And this is what we typically see when we see a very, very weak solar wind. Look for activity to be kicking up soon, as that sunspot is, again, large and in charge. Here's the magnetohydrodynamic pressure, and it's pretty weak. One of the weaker showings that we've had here on the channel. And this is 4 hours of data. And we're going to blast through a whole bunch more stuff. Quick, quick, quick. So pardon me if I talk fast. I went to the Ben Shapiro School of Fast Talking. Here are the ground magnetic perturbations coming a little closer to home here. And these are largely purely magnetic during this magnetic excursion, as we don't see a lot of magnetism induced by incoming protons on this 4-hour data run. This is all courtesy University of Michigan. Here's the flare I woke up to. It's just a minor C-class flare. It simmered right back down again. That's the GOES X-ray flux, and that's 3 days worth of data. Here's what's going on in the solar system. There's where we expect things to be in a week, if the Earth has not become a cinder of its former self. Now, don't be surprised if we end up suddenly in the North Pole current sheet shown here in green. And it all has to do with that sunspot. I won't get into it in depth. It's just a preliminary forecast as that sunspot rises. Keep in mind the data is 1 hour and 48 minutes old. This is the top view ecliptic plane field plot, a magnetic diagram of the polarity of the heliospheric current sheet. The magnetic environment can suddenly change, so keep that in mind. This one shows the B field. This is the line of sight field plot. And the B field, which is the field that goes through the magnet, the one that is a product of the north and south solar polar fields. No major changes yet with that, despite that large sunspot moving into view. Here's a magnetic field plot of just the solar corona. It shows you open potential field force lines in black, closed potential field force lines in pink, and coronal hole potential field force lines in purple. And let's go to the Van Allen belts and talk about the electron content. Here's the 1-year graph. We're back in nominal range here. We stayed out of warning territory yesterday, which is achieved at 1,000 pulse flux units. This is actually showing you density. It's a little different than the NOAA alerts. Here's a visualization of the entire air column. And we see like a little lower levels of electron flux here, but some anomalies over North America and Canada. I'll rock that back after it plays. You can see right here some excessively high electron flux there over places like Montana and Washington. You may have seen some GPS errors in those locations. That's part of the reason why we look at it. It also has to do with communications disruptions. Next, looking at just one slice of the atmosphere, here's the ionosphere layer. we normally show a full day. Let's just reload that real quick. The Ionosphere Map is a feature of the Smash News Network. We bring it to you at massive personal expense and risk, and it's courtesy of Australian Government Bureau Meteorology. I'm seeing this for the first time as you folks. It's looking pretty normal, really. Here's the latest image. That one was from 10 o'clock Universal Time. Quakes of the past 24 included a 6 magnitude, as well as this quake at 800 meters above sea level in Mexico. Most likely magmatic activity, or maybe somebody was trying to blow up a mountain. Probably magmatic activity. And we're just scrolling up the list here. That 6.0 at Chile, off the coast of Chile, occurred at 2:40 Universal Time this morning on Election Day. Deep quake in the Bande Sea at a 4.5 magnitude. And there's one on Tonga. I think it's actually on the island. Nope, not on the island. But there's the location of that one, in between Tonga and Fiji. It's a 5.7. Just coming in at 8:18 Universal Time. Let's check volcanoes of the past 24, and we see a bit of an uptick here. Kluchevskoy, with some Strombolian eruptions and explosions and a thermal anomaly at 1081 MW. I have no idea what that means. Megawatts? Milliwatts? Sakurajima exploding as well, producing a 6,000 foot ash plume. Unknown ash plume size at Kluchevskoy rather. Cinnabung exploding, flight level 120, 12,000 foot ash plume there. Dakono exploding, flight level 7070, 7,000 feet. Popocatépetl exploding, 20,000 foot ash plume. Similar situation at Sangay. Revenador dispersed its emissions. And Sabancaya still exploding, flight level 260, a 26,000 foot ash plume is nothing to fly your ultralight home-built aircraft over. Here is the jet stream scenario. And this is the kind of flow that causes people to print stories about how OMG, OMG, one tiny portion of Greenland is melting. Let's sound the alarm bells and freak out and do a bunch of things that are utterly ineffective, where humans arrogantly believe that they can control the weather. Here's the jet streams of the eastern world. Only an arrogant fool thinks mankind can control the climate, or the weather, or the ocean temperatures, which are the real heat latency on the planet, not the atmosphere. I won't get into it, it's a daily space weather. Here's where pressure cells are. And here's where they'll be at 12 noon tomorrow my time. And if you're wondering where I'm located in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. Thanks to all of our new viewers, old viewers, friends, foes, science noobs, and science pros. Next, looking at lightning maps to see where the strikes are happening. I like to use lightningmaps.org to convince my foes that I'm Thor, making them think I'm causing the thunder instead of forecasting it. And we see this hurricane, and I'm not going to get into it. I'll leave that to the meteorology channels. But in any case, there's some lightning ahead of it. Caribbean, still encased in lightning. Next, the U.S. Doppler Radar Map. Did you watch our YouTube video yesterday about Hazleton and Tamaqua, Pennsylvania? We showed you some snow. It was the first I saw. And it was a significant whiteout situation, a little bit of snow even stuck to the road at about 34 degrees. And look at all the low clouds in the Atlantic. The Atlantic just teeming with low clouds, as well as the Gulf of Mexico. And by the way, these are possible features of cosmic ray flux, as cosmic rays have the greatest effect on cloud nucleation in the lower troposphere to about 14,000 feet of altitude. Yet another reason why contrails aren't chemtrails. Next, looking at the U.S. water vapor map. And you can see that cold air blowing all the way from eastern Montana all the way down into South Carolina now. making for some chilly temperatures in the northeast on election day. And let's zoom in on this leading edge of this hurricane. Leave us a comment if you're viewing the videos from the Caribbean. Make sure you tell Peter Schiff about our content, as Peter Schiff wants to know ahead of everybody else when solar flares and coronal mass ejections happen, just like you probably do. Anyway, massive convergence there, and all of this massive air up here is going to stall this thing and make it move very slowly. Hence the word stall. By the way, thanks Smash Team for tuning in. Don't go anywhere. We've got bonus features. We're going to show you the 193 angstroms 48-hour SDO video, the colorized magnetogram, and the intensitygram, a close-up of that monster set of sunspots. They're quite large, and they're quite in charge. Sunspot 2781. There you go. It's the real deal, and that umbra is practically the diameter of the Earth. Here are the fields, and you can clearly see that it's beta class and that the leading umbra is South Pole oriented. And then you see North Pole umbrae back here, making it a beta class sunspot, and the chance of an M flare is much higher as a result of that. And we'll show you the full disk here in 193 angstroms. I'll vanish. And thank you for watching. Please share on your social media. By the way, we'll be making a new series of videos soon called Interviews with Humans, or maybe Interviews with People, I don't know. Check out all the coronal holes in the Earth-facing region and down by the South Pole. Excuse me, we are expecting a coronal hole wind stream quite soon from that system. And it could be quite long-lasting, as there are lots of coronal holes there, as you can see. Anyway, it's about that time. We're out. Thanks for tuning in. Stare at the sun, don't drink, and if you do, don't drive. And since it'll never be now again, may that solar wind be at your back. All right, you can go. Here's your check.